Hey, what's going on? It's Jeff Newpert from ChasingStrength.com. And in this video, we are going to discuss level 5 kettlebell workout programming. Is this truly the ultimate kettlebell style of training or the kettlebell training style? Well, let's dig into it and find out and see if this is right for you. Now, if you're like many of us, you got into kettlebell training because we bought into the concept that we could do more with less. And I'm not sure if you know this or maybe you recall this, but that was the original premise of the Soviet and Russian research studies that were done back in the mid to late 1980s, that kettlebell training by itself actually strengthened barbell lifts. It decreased sprint times and running times in endurance events, which means they got faster, okay, just from kettlebell training. And it actually improved power outputs in things like jumps. Okay, so that's pretty substantial and that's pretty solid arguments for using kettlebell training to the exclusion of other styles of training, right? More for less. You get more out of it for less effort put into it. Sounds like typical Americanism instead of Soviet communism, but that's neither here nor there. So it's interesting to note that much, if not all, that research was based on the kettlebell snatch, the single kettlebell snatch, which, if you recall, is a level 2 exercise. All right. And the long cycle clean and jerk, or the double kettlebell clean and jerk, which is a level 4 exercise. And if I recall correctly, they used level 5 programming, which is programming that's based on the level 4 mastery, right? In the case of the double clean and jerk. And they actually use some level 3 programming based on mastery of the level 2 exercises, the snatch. And essentially, with both of the level 3 and the level 5 programming, they were training power endurance, and strength endurance. Okay, so that's really what we're going to be talking about training wise when we talk about level 5 programming. Okay, why is level 5 programming so important? Well, it's because level 5 programming is where many people finally, in some cases, right, see amazing transformations in their bodies, like stripping off body fat and packing on muscle. Now, I'm not saying that's everybody, that's some people, right? Personally, I think that's because they're pushing themselves outside of their comfort zones. And for some people, the level 1, level 2, and level 4 training allows them to stay in their comfort zones and not really make the progress they're looking for. But hey, that's just my opinion after training people with kettlebells for over 20 years. So, what do I know? Anyway, so level 4 programming, as you recall, is the basic double kettlebell lifts. And the double kettlebell exercises in the level 5 program, again, is where we take that up a notch, where we're going to do things like train for power, right? Which is training in such a way to become more explosive, to display more explosive output. So think jumping higher, right? Running faster. Those are 2 examples. Lifting more, you could argue you need to be more explosive as well, right? So typically when we're training for power, we're going to use lower reps. We're going to use 1 to 6 reps with adequate rest between sets. Okay, so this may or may not be on the minute or EMOM, as some people like to call it, every minute on the minute sets, right? The key is adequate rest between sets. What does adequate mean? Adequate to maintain the same power output from set to set, or become more powerful from set to set and not have your power output decrease. Okay, so hopefully that's making sense. Okay, so the exercises we're going to use: double kettlebell clean and jerk, or the double kettlebell clean and push press. Outstanding exercises. Okay, if you can't jerk, push press. Okay. Now, in order to train for power endurance, which is the ability to be repeatedly explosive for long periods of time or a set period of time, we're going to use either lower reps, 1 to 6 reps roughly, for repeated sets, and we're going to decrease the rest periods over the course of time. Okay, so maybe you start with something like 2 minutes of rest, and then we knock it down to a minute 50, and then a minute 40, and a minute 30, and so on and so forth, till we get to about a 1 minute rest period, maybe even lower. But again, this is going to depend on the number of reps you're doing per set. Okay. Or we're going to use a second option, which is medium to higher reps. So 10 to 20 reps for repeated sets with longer and close to complete rest periods. Okay. So if you're doing a 20 rep set of clean and jerks, that is no joke. And that is going to take you a good solid 90 seconds, right? Maybe 2 minutes, depending on how much you need to rest on the other side of 10, right? So reps 10 through 20 or 11 through 20 are much different than reps 1 through 10. So most people need to rest longer. And so that backside of the set, right, takes them longer to perform. So let's just say let's say it actually took you 2 minutes of rest. You're going to need to rest at least 4 minutes, most likely, maybe even as long as 5 or 6. And in some cases, maybe as long as 8 to 10, believe it or not, depending on your current conditioning levels, right? Your work capacity levels, same thing there. And just how tired you got during that set. And of course, what kind of loads you were using. So, right, a set of 20 clean and jerks with a pair of 32s is going to feel totally different to you than a set of 20 clean and jerks with a pair of 24s, right? If, you can do a set of 10 with a pair of 40s, right? So relative effort levels, if the relative effort levels are higher, you're going to need a longer rest. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay. So that's the power, and that's the power endurance. Let's talk about our strength endurance. Now, what is strength endurance? It's the ability to produce the appropriate amount of force over a given period of time without succumbing to fatigue, right? So, and you can use a combo of grind or slow strength exercises and explosive exercises, okay? So examples from the level 4 exercises would be double front squat. Right, I think we started using abbreviations in the last one, right? So that would be DFSQ. We've got the double clean or DCL, military press. I'm just going to drop the word double off it. Okay, so we're talking about level 4 exercises. So the assumption is it's double. So we've got, starting from the top again, we got front squat, we've got clean, we've got military press, we've got push press, we've got jerk, we've got high pull, we've got snatch. Some people won't even like the renegade rows, so you could throw those in there. All right, but you get the picture. So how would you program those for strength endurance? Well, there are 4 different ways we can use. The option number 1 would be you can alternate or superset exercises, right? So a superset is a pair of exercises, right? I just want to make sure I get my terminology correct, done back to back without any rest between them. That is a superset. And alternating set is you're doing a pair of exercises back to back, but you are resting between those exercises. Okay. So alternating sets, rest between exercises, supersets, no rest between exercises. So you're going to use those. You're going to use multiple sets, low to medium reps, and somewhat incomplete rests. Okay. So that's the A option. The B option would be strength circuits. Okay. So you would use multiple exercises, multiple sets, lower reps, and somewhat incomplete rests. Do you need to rest between sets in strength circuits? Not necessarily, but again, the key is force, producing force and keeping your force output or your force production high. So you probably will want to rest. It's not going to be your traditional metabolic circuit like you do in the gym when you were, in the 1980s, when you're going through the chrome and fern circuit, right? Leg extension, leg curl, calf raise, pec deck, those types of things. It's not that type of circuit. Okay, so option C, the C option, or the third option would be complexes, which are some of my favorite strength endurance and power endurance parameters, training parameters. Okay, so in a complex, you're going to use the same size kettlebell for multiple exercises, usually for the same number of prescribed reps, and you're going to do that back to back without putting the kettlebells down. Okay, so it's similar to a circuit, except the loads won't change, okay? And you will never put the weights down until the complex is done, right? Fourth option, or the D option, there's going to be chains, which are very similar to complexes, but you perform 1 rep of each exercise at a time, right? So let's say you have a clean, a press, a front squat, and a snatch. You would perform 1 clean, 1 front squat, 1 press, and 1 snatch. And that would be 1 round of the chain, and then you do as many prescribed reps of the chain as outlined in the program, right? So if you had five reps of a chain, you would do that 5 times, and that would be 1 set, compared to a complex where it would be, if you're doing 5 reps there, it would be 5 cleans, 5 front squats, 5 presses, and then 5 snatches. All right. What's the difference? Well, we can get into that in some other video. Suffice to say, those are 4 really good options that you can use. Now, personally, I like the complexes and chains because you can train power endurance and strength endurance roughly at the same time. Okay. It's kind of like a kill 2 birds with 1 stone type of thing. Can you even say that anymore? Or is Peter going to get on me about that? I don't know. All right. Well, at the end of the day, I just like those 2 styles of training, complexes, those 2 mechanisms or methods of training, if you prefer, the complexes and chains, because they're hard. They're just hard, and they demand my attention or your attention. So, look, let's just face it. Let's be real here. Some of us come from kind of meathead backgrounds, hardcore backgrounds, military backgrounds, and the hard is just trained into us. That's what we like. We like doing things that are hard, right? Some of us need, want, crave, demand harder or hard type workouts. Okay. So complexes and chains, check the box. All right. So, if you want those types of workouts, right, the complexes and chains, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a link for some programs I have down below this video. I think that's about it. I think that's all I want to cover in this video. You'd think I'd be more prepared than I am, but that's the big thing, right? That's level 5 exercise programming in a nutshell. Power endurance, strength endurance, and the 4 different ways to train them, right? So we've got alternating sets, supersets, strength circuits, complexes, and chains, right? If you got any questions, feel free to leave a message. What is this, an answering service? Leave a reply or response below this video, and I'll get back to you. And as always, or not as always, as I was told in the last video, that I did in the last video, if you found this video helpful, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you know other people who like kettlebell training, share this link with them and have them hit the like and subscribe button too. Let's grow this channel and get the word out, right? About the best ways to use kettlebells. All right. Thanks so much for watching. Stay strong. I'll see you soon.